All right. All right. So hi everyone. Thanks for joining us. We're going to kick off our Career Connections workshop. The whole purpose of this is to get you guys ready for the upcoming Career Connections on Monday. So I've worked on this with a few other board members, and we try to put in as much useful information as you guys will need. So I think this will be a really good resource for you all, and it's also being recorded. So if you can't attend our presentation, we're going to share this as well through email. Okay, so to kick it off, we're gonna touch on kind of like what you guys should know. So it's going to be this Monday, October 4th. It's going to be from 5:30 to 8 p.m. It's going to be located in the USU ballroom near the food court. You do need to sign up beforehand, so you'll have to sign up on Handshake for that. And we're going to cover like how to find it exactly. But if you just go under Handshake and go under events and just type Career Connections, you'll find the option to sign up for the in-person one or the virtual one. And also like concerning the time, you'll notice it's from 5:30 to 8. So if you're getting off work around 5 and you can't be there like before 5:30, you have plenty of time to show up and arrive and to meet and network with people at the firms. You want to cover this one, Taylor?
Yeah, so this is kind of just a map of the entire campus. For those of you that aren't familiar with the campus, if this is like, your first semester back, especially because we're virtual, you might not have even stepped foot on campus yet. This is a map to kind of help you out and figure out where the event is actually taking place. So the black circle right there is where Marksy Hall is. That's where a lot of our classes are for people that are on campus. And then Lot F is obviously right behind it. It's where a lot of us park. And then you'll see on the opposite side of campus where that red circle is, that's a parking structure. It's recommended that you park here for the actual event because I believe that we have actually reserved an entire floor of the garage specifically for our event. So you don't have to worry about parking if you're commuting, from like an hour away. You don't have to consider about parking super far away. And then having to like walk all the way there or having to fight, for actually trying to find a parking space. And then once you actually park in the garage, you can go up to I can't remember, I think it's the top floor. And there's a bridge that'll take you across from the parking garage to the actual campus. And then it'll leave you straight through the middle of the social behavioral sciences building and the science hall. And then once you get past those two, the USU building would be just on your right. And then just go in between the two sections of the USU building. There'll be like big grass steps that will just go straight down. And once you get down to the bottom, there will be a bunch of glass doors. You just go right in there, and then there'll be probably a couple of the Accounting Society board members standing there welcoming you. So once you see us, we'll probably maybe try and have some signs out too to try and direct people for some of the people that might get confused. So yeah.
Cool. So let's see. So what should you expect for this event? So this is basically like a club rush, except instead of like it being student orgs, it's going to be accounting firms. So usually for club rush, you have like all these different clubs tabling, and you have people at each club, and you kind of just go up, introduce yourself and kind of just ask some questions. It's basically same thing with this Career Connections, except it's going to be accounting firms. So what you should expect is like kind of like what Taylor mentioned. You'll kind of see our board. You're going to want to check in with us beforehand, and then when you enter the ballroom, it's basically up to you, like which firms you want to talk to. But you're going to want to essentially go up, introduce yourself, and kind of just express your interest in the firm. And your objective for the event is you're going to want to leave a good impression where they can see themselves working with you. And you also want to try to learn more about their firm because there's only like so much information that they can put on their website. The idea is that if you leave a good impression, if they like you, they're going to make note of it. And when they do that, it'll increase your odds of being able to like kind of get your foot in with the firm, get an internship, or if you're looking for like a full-time offer. And then in terms of like food and drinks, we're gonna just keep it kind of like finger food and just basic beverages. So kind of just like just snacks really. So if you ever get hungry or anything like that, we'll have that there for you guys. Is there anything you want to add to this, Taylor, or you think I covered everything?
Yeah, I think I've kind of covered everything.
All right, cool, cool. So we'll go into the attire. So business professional is the safest bet. If you don't know what business professional is, we have examples on the following slide, but it's basically like a suit jacket, a dress shirt, uh, tie for guys. But if you're a girl, you don't need a tie. Just shoes and pants. If you don't have a suit jacket, no worries. Business casual works as well, but I think professional is like the safest thing to do. You kind of want to dress to impress, as if you're going to an interview. This will be like the first impression you guys leave on like a lot of firms. So you do want to dress as nice as you can. You want to leave a good impression. So it's best not to stick out because of how you're dressed. Um, so try to like kind of dress conservatively if you can. And then we have a picture here. I think this is like a previous accounting society board from a few years back. So notice that like all the guys are, like I mentioned, wearing like the suits, ties, shirts, pants, shoes. Taylor, do you want to go over like the girls' attire for this?
Yeah, so for the girls, you can see they're wearing like flats. You can even wear, maybe like a pointed shoe that's got like a slight heel to it. And then, some nice pants that maybe either just like black or they have like very subtle design to it. And then they're either wearing like a blouse or like a button-down shirt. Um, if you don't have a blazer, you don't necessarily need one, but I personally think that it has a nice kind of like business formal touch to it that just will make your outfit just look a little bit better and a little bit more professional. So the blazer is a nice touch, but if you can't get one in time, that's totally fine. Just a blouse and like a button-down shirt and then pants would be totally fine.
Yeah. So like what should you bring to the event? So you don't have to get a pad folio. But if you can, I think it looks pretty good. A pad folio essentially, it's kind of like a very professional looking folder. It's like leather. It usually comes with a notepad if you want to take notes in it. It has like pen holders. You can store business cards in it. Um, you can see some example pictures on the bottom right. Um, but I think they sell it at our bookstore. You can also get it on Amazon pretty cheap and quickly. But if you can't, no worries. Normal folder suffices as well. So you want to bring a pen for sure because you want to like, take notes with the people you meet. But bring a folder as well, some paper. And in terms of resume, personally, I would recommend printing out 30 copies of your resume because there are going to be a lot of firms, but there's going to be multiple people tabling with each firm, and you're going to want to give out your resume to all of them. In a way, your resume, it's almost kind of like your business card. It's like saying like, here's like all my info, my name, like my email address and such. So you're going to hand these out like it's candy, even if you feel like you didn't have the best, if you feel like didn't leave the best impression, you weren't too confident with that. Even just giving them a physical resume can go a long way. Um, yeah, Taylor, do you want to say anything about this slide? I know you just got a Padfolio or something.
Yeah, I got a Padfolio. I ordered one off Amazon last night. It was like for 16 bucks, I think. It looked pretty nice. It was leather and it had, space for resumes, paper. You could put a pen in there and like business cards. If you're picking up business cards from professionals. Um, and it was getting here in a relatively, fast manner. I think it was like 1 or 2 day shipping that it would get here. And then I noticed that the pictures on the bottom that those prices are like extremely high. I just noticed that. So the ones that you can find on Amazon are not that expensive, trust me. They're like maybe 15 to 20 bucks.
Mhm. Yeah, so you don't have to get a Padfolio, but like it does look pretty nice and it will help like with your image. But a normal folder works too. So it's kind of up to you. So how you can prepare for the event. So there's a few days before the event happens. So these are some things you can do. I would say first do your research on the firms beforehand. So we have our list of firms listed on Handshake. And I would say do your research, look through their websites, and then really just kind of find like any questions you want to ask. So like have some questions under your belt before you go up and talk to these people. Um, what I've noticed is the more special or catered a question is to their firm, the more it will help you stand out from like the other students. So for if you try finding special things about a firm that makes them stick out, ask about that. So examples, you can ask about their like what they do like in terms of diversity. What do they do for social responsibility? Do they do community service? What does the firm do for fun? Does the firm do any charity? These are some examples of things you can ask. And then on your resume, include any customer service experience you have if you've worked in that field, because it's related to audit tax work dealing with clients. So a lot of accounting students are going to have like generally pretty similar looking resumes. A lot of these firms don't expect you to like apply and already have, accounting experience. Because that's why you're there in the first place is, you want to like take that next step, that next level, and you want to actually like learn, like do accounting. So for sure that's not required, but there are a lot of things that accounting firms look for in students, like pretty similar. I think customer service is a big one because a lot of them want to see that you're going to be able to like, deal with clients and represent the firm well. Then just basic things like being organized, knowing how to be a team player, leadership skills, being able to work in a fast-paced environment. But yeah, these are things you should do to prepare. Really just do your research, have questions ready. If you want to stand out, really like do your research and really find like the unique things about the firm that makes them stick out. Taylor, do you have any input for this slide?
Nope.
All right, cool. So what you should be saying. So you'll check in with us at the front and then basically kind of just start going up and talking to people. So you could do an elbow bump, a wave or handshake. Um, for sure, like there are some people that aren't very comfortable with doing a handshake because of COVID. So you kind of just have to like, I don't know, it's kind of up to you if you want to initiate that or not. From my experience so far, even with the pandemic, a lot of people are comfortable doing handshakes. But if you're not comfortable, no worries. They'll be like completely understanding. You want to give like your elevator pitch. So I kind of broke it down here. You're going to have your name, your school, and then you want to talk about kind of like your experience. So like, what are your jobs? Leadership experience. Are you involved on campus? Have you done any kind of like volunteering? Really kind of just anything, like your background in general. And then you want to let them know that you're looking for an internship. So is that going to be audit? Is it going to be tax? Then you're going to want to kind of like transition, be like, so I'm interested in your firm for an internship because of so and so, and just list a few things. And then usually you're going to want to, that's when you're going to want to like plug in your questions. So ask a few questions. And then usually after that, you're going to want to I recommend finding some kind of personal connection. So a big thing I want to note is that your conversation, it doesn't just have to be about accounting. Although like for sure, if there's things you want to know, like these are like the best people, these are like the best resources to like ask and learn from. But if you want to ask anything personal too, I find that for me, like all my best conversations come from like just talking about our hobbies or sports or anything like that. So, I put some examples of what you can ask. You can ask about their hobbies. What do they do in their free time? You can ask, how did your busy season go? Ask them like, do you follow any sports? Or like, are they alumni of the school? Anything like that. And then also be confident, have good posture. That's really important. And make sure that you smile when you talk to them. Uh, uh, then in terms of like how long a conversation should last, it really like kind of just depends. But it could last, I think usually lasts like 10 to 15 minutes or so. But if it's a shorter conversation or longer, there's really nothing wrong with that. Um any input, Taylor, for this?
Yeah, I was gonna say you never know what kind of hobbies or interests you're going to have in common with any kind of professionals. Personally, I know like for me and Josh, we did marching band back in high school.
Hmm.
And I found when I've been talking to some of the accounting professionals that they've actually, they also did marching band back in high school. So then we end up having that in common. And we'll start talking about that for like 5 or 10 minutes. And that's just like a personal connection that you can have with like a specific recruiter or a business professional from one of the accounting firms that you're interested in.
Hmm.
And then, when you go and like email that person after the fact, you can mention that. And then even if you're interviewing with them in the future, you can be like, hey, remember we talked about marching band? I really like talking about that. So you never know what interests or hobbies you're going to have in common with people.
Yeah, definitely. Also, I forgot if we mentioned this already in the recording, but like all the pictures we have, these are pictures from our previous career connections. So this is kind of like what you can expect when you go to the event on Monday. Um, so example of what to say. This is kind of like something I could say for an elevator pitch. So I'll just read through it. So it'll be like, hey, I'm Joshua Taylor. I'm a senior accounting student at Cal State San Marcos. I'm currently involved in our school's accounting society as the vice president elect. I also have a lot of experience working customer service. With my background, I'm looking to further develop my skills as an accounting student. I'm looking for a tax internship for this summer to gain some experience under my belt and get my foot in with an accounting firm I'm interested in. I'm really interested in your firm because I'm attracted to your culture and I've heard a lot of great things from previous interns who have worked with you guys. So I've been wanting to learn more about your firm. I was wondering, could you share like what do you guys do in terms of diversity and being inclusive? And then, so I think that's a pretty solid elevator pitch. It kind of just like gives them a brief rundown of like who you are, like, what's your background and what are you looking for and why you're interested in their firm. So ask a few questions and then I think at the end of it, just try to ask something like not work related. Something I've noticed is like, I don't know, like accounting isn't the most interesting thing to talk about, but like I said, if you have any like technical questions or like you want to know what a day in the life is for them, that's totally fine. But for me, I've noticed all my best conversations come from like usually like if I'm just talking about something a bit more like personal. um yeah, do you have any advice on like what to say, Taylor, or you think I covered it all?
I think you covered it all. Like just kind of job experience. Any job experience that you have working basically anywhere is really good to have
Mhm.
if you have it. So definitely mentioning that would be a good option.
Mhm. Yeah, and you guys don't have to like follow this example here, but this is just kind of like something around the lines of what I would say. So important. Uh, some important things to note. Don't be afraid to end the conversation. Um, you know, I think it's normal that like you don't always click with everyone you meet, and that's totally fine. So if you end up like dragging a conversation out, you can end up leaving a kind of a poor impression on professionals, showing that like you're not able to like I don't know like have like the best conversation. Like it's not a big deal. Like if it doesn't go too well, pretty simple. Just thank them for their time. And this is super important. Make sure you ask them for a business card or for their email because you're going to want to do like a follow-up email with them like the next day. Kind of like to remind them of who you are. Um, but yeah, basically, when you're done, just say thank you for your time, ask for a business card or email, and say something like, I'm gonna go meet some more professionals, or if you want to talk to more people at their firm, if you want, you could say, can you introduce me to someone else working in tax, etc. But if you're having a good conversation, um, you know, don't be shy. Keep it going. Um, yeah. Do you have any input, Taylor? Or,
No?
no? All right, cool, cool. Let's see. Oh yeah, then what you shouldn't be saying or doing.
Yeah, so on this slide, obviously a lot of this is like, common sense stuff, that you specifically should not be doing or saying, especially in a business professional like interview format. I'd say two of the most important things would be like body language and how you present yourself to people. And then like specific things that you're talking about, so like try not to slouch, try to stay away from controversial topics. Try not to cross your arms, try and do something else with your arms, maybe, fold them in front of you, kind of like just put them down. And then try not to be shy. I heard apparently from prior people that have gone to Career Connections that like once the event actually starts, people tend to kind of just hover around the middle of the room. Try not to be shy, maybe be like the first person that goes and talks to a firm. That's gonna, set you apart from everybody else, and the firms might take note of that. Try not to, watch the clock while you're talking to people. That you might seem to them like you're trying to get out of the conversation. Try not to be late, especially if you have like nothing else going on before the day. Maybe show up a little bit before 5:30. That way you can get yourself all situated and you're not like panicking, trying to get there on time. Obviously, if you're working, and you have like a schedule conflict where you have to show up late, that's totally fine. And then because we're having food, try not to, eat or drink while you're actually having your conversation. You don't want to be talking to a professional and, have your mouth full of food. Um, obviously no lying. You don't want that to somehow be traced back and be viewed as like a liar in front of recruiters. Don't look nervous or unconfident, be confident in yourself and the abilities that you have. Just kind of put yourself out there. I think that's the best thing that you can do is try to be yourself and just talk to the professionals and see what happens.
There we go. And then like just a thing to note, kind of like going off what Taylor said on a previous slide, don't be nervous or embarrassed about anything. A lot of these accountants have been in your shoes before. Some of them, probably just graduated within the last few years. So, don't be nervous about your GPA. Don't be ashamed about your hobbies. Everyone has their own unique story, and people can tell when you're being genuine, being yourself, and it really shows through. So, just a note, we wanted to share with you guys. So just kind of like quick because this is such an essential part of career connections. Basically, your an overview of what you should say. You want to say your name, then year, school, work, campus involvement, volunteer experience. Tell them, are you looking for audit internship, a tax internship? Are you recruiting like for a full-time job? And then ask some questions and ask something more personal, as accounting isn't always like the most interesting thing. And yeah, so what should you do after career connections? I forgot, did I have this slide, Taylor, or was it yours?
I think we can just both do it if you want.
Okay. I can just read off it then. So what should you do after career connections? So you're going to email the people you talk to the following day, and you want to thank them for coming and taking the time to talk to you. It's helpful if you include something specific from your conversation in your email to help them remember who you are. So maybe you talked about hobbies, tips they gave, prior jobs, sports, favorite movies, TV shows, etc. Don't be afraid to connect with them on LinkedIn. Send a message again, thanking them for their time, and make sure that you're submitting your applications for internships or full-time jobs. You think I covered everything there, Taylor?
Yeah, I would say like one of the most important things, obviously, you can do because it's the first thing on there is like email the people that you talk to. I remember a story that my old band director used to tell a lot of us in terms of like applying for jobs and stuff is that I guess his wife applied for a job and it was a very competitive job. There were like over like 100 applicants or something like that. And I guess that she was the only person after the actual interview to send the company like a thank you letter saying like, thank you for taking the time to talk to me and taking the time out of your day. And I guess that because she specifically sent that email and thanked them for their time, that they chose her over everybody else because she was the only person to do that. So she was like qualified for the job, but then she also followed up afterwards to actually thank the people that she talked to for the time, which goes a long way.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so yeah, follow-up emails are super important. So that's why we emphasized, ask them for their business card, ask them for their email. And I'm sure they'll be more than happy to like connect with you on LinkedIn too. So it's a good way to kind of just be like, oh, this is who I am, and I'm interested in your firm. Okay, so make sure to check Handshake. So again, a reminder, you're going to want to register before our event. The deadline to submit your resume, if you want to be a part of our resume directory, is tonight. So these are basically like resume pamphlets that we give out to all the accounting firms. The recruiters are always looking for students, and they're for sure going to be looking through these and looking at like kind of like your experience and kind of like who you are in general. If you want to find it, go on Handshake, go under jobs, and just search up Accounting Society resume directory, and you'll be able to find it. Yeah, and then this is just an example of what it will look like. So it's pretty easy to find. Then we're going to just go over like some example resumes to show you guys. So I'll exit this PowerPoint and I'll show. So I can show like my resume, for example. So this is what I did for mine. Pretty like typical resume, I think. For this, I just used like Word, and I kind of just made it from scratch. So I did like I added these lines in myself and all that, and I put in my name, kind of like just a general like idea of where I live, phone number, email. Then I put in my LinkedIn, put in my education, all that. If you have any like honors or anything like that, definitely feel free to include that. I just put down my experience. Um, I think you usually want to do it like in terms of like what's more relevant. So like currently, I'm a Becker campus ambassador and I'm a vice president elect. I think usually like at least two bullet points you should have, but if you have three, that's good too. And I just put in my skills here at the bottom. So yeah. Yeah. This is what I did for my resume. I feel like a lot of resumes look like this, so for sure, like, this is a pretty good format to follow. Then we have Taylor's up here too. Do you want to go over yours, Taylor?
Yeah, so on mine, I think I think I used a template off Word. And I've actually had a lot of compliments like on my resume specifically because it's got like that little extra pop of like color in it.
Mhm.
Um, Having like something on your resume that kind of like makes it look a little bit different than others can also set yourself apart, from like when the other applicants that are applying to jobs and stuff. Um, but yeah, I kind of laid it out the similar way. I started off with the education at the top. And then I did my work experience, and then any leadership and awards, because like I'm the like president elect, and then I was the director of communications for the accounting society last semester, and then dean's list, and then any leadership experience, like I was section leader back in high school for marching band, and then like Josh, I also put my skills in there because I think it's a good thing to have your skills kind of laid out so that way the firms can see it and stuff that like that you're confident that you can do.
Yeah. So it's kind of like up to you guys how you want to format your resume. But yeah, so these are some examples of like what you could follow. And this is what you'll be handing to them. Oh shoot. Oh wait, hang on a second. It was this one, I think. Okay, yeah. So this is our current vice president, Albert. This is his resume as well. If you guys just wanted like another look, different resume. What's a he has like an objective. It's not required, but if you want to, you can have an objective in there and put his education, put his skills right after his education. He has his experience here. What was it? So like the years he did it and like just some bullet points and such and accomplishments. So this is like another thing. Um, yeah, and see, go back to presentation. That's kind of like the breakdown of the resumes. That basically. Oh yeah, and then do we have any? Does anyone like have any questions or like anything they want to ask about for career connections, or do they like any slides they want to go over a little more in depth? No. Okay. All right. Cool. So with that, that basically concludes the presentation. The final note, just remember to have fun, relax. This is basically just a social event. So yeah. So if you guys, I guess, have like any more questions about career connections, feel free to reach out to us through like email or social media. And good luck, and I'll see you guys there on Monday.